Good afternoon, guys. It's Workin, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. As before, guys, I want to start off by thanking everybody for who has sent a tip over the last 24 hours, guys, or even before that, guys. Everyone who's ever sent a tip, guys, really appreciate it, guys. It again, never necessary, never feel obliged to, but it is always appreciated. And as always, guys, if you send me a direct message or even a public message letting me know that it was you that sent the tip, I will always give you a shout out on the next video. This video, guys, I want to personally thank let's see. Puff the Magic. Oh, I can't say the rest of that. Puff the Magic, and I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for that. I do appreciate the tip. Actually, you're very generous. I really appreciate that. But not generous enough for me to say your full name there. 2 Pumped 397. Thank you very much, man. Very generous. Andy 375. Very nice. Appreciate your contribution. And what is it? Sarah, don't play that. Sarah, don't play that. Thank you very much, Sarah. Don't play that. I again appreciate the tips. So if you do want to tip, guys, you'll find the addresses in the description link to the YouTube channel. But never ever feel obligated, guys. I just kind of do this as a way to give back. All right, we're looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar 4-hour chart on Coinbase. Last time we spoke, guys, I always want to start off with where we were last time we spoke because it not only does it let you know that I'm holding myself accountable, but I want to hold myself accountable. So, I always want to make sure I start with where we were last time and then move forward rather than, one of the things that always gets me is when, people seem to say one thing on one video and then completely forget what they said because the market did something else, and move on in the next video as if they, the prior video had not existed. So I will never do that to you, whether I'm right, wrong, or indifferent, guys. I'll always start off where we were last time. And last time we were operating within this wedge here. Which, anytime you're looking at a wedge, guys, that's an equal opportunity breakout. It could break up, could break down. But I told you guys that we were looking at the very likely probability of coming back down and testing 7,500. Excuse me, the $7,500 support. Told you last time that I was not going to, even though a double bottom was certainly a possibility, that I was not going to play that, in that we were seeing a lot of weakness all throughout the market, and certainly we were. Price broke down, and I have to admit, it did double bottom. Told you guys the possibility was there. I did not play this, much as I'd like to tell you that I did not. I remain agnostic on this market, guys, and I will remain so until we either break 7,500 or until we get decisively. By decisively, I mean just a 4-hour candle. Sometimes I'll talk the bigger time frames, but right now I'm talking about the 4-hour candle. Opening and closing below 7,500, I will get extremely bearish, not extremely, but I will believe that we're coming back down to this area that we've been talking about between 7,200 and 7,000. To the upside, if we can clear a 4-hour candle opening and closing above about 8,200, really 8,150, but I'd be a lot more comfortable with 8,200. We get above 8,200 with a open and close on the 4-hour, I'll start to get a little more bullish and start to think that we're going to come back up and test 8,500 to 8,600, this range right up here. Price broke down a typical fake out maneuver, a typical bear trap where price breaks down, completely reverses course. The double bottom came into play, and then we're coming right back up and hitting the top of this wedge. So basically a very manipulated move, in my opinion, not really breaking out either way, kind of doing a head fake in both directions. And as of right now, that's where we sit. And this is, overall, even though I do think that we're going to be coming back here and testing this 72 to 7,000, it does look like if we can get a 4-hour candle opening and closing above even 8,000, I do think that we're going to come back up and very likely test that 8,200. And this is the zone I told you yesterday. If price did end up breaking up, I told you to expect a rejection. I was going to be looking for, nothing is a definite in crypto, guys. Again, I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. The only thing consistent about cryptocurrency is it consistently surprises. Never forget that. So, nothing is a definite, but I told you to be looking for a rejection in the low 8,000s. So that would be, anywhere between 82 and 8,000 to 8,200. And, even though we could get a little deeper in that, we could, of course, wake up to this 8,400, because let's be real, this 8,150 to 8,400, this has been the zone that's acted as resistance, support, and I'm going to assume if we do end up testing this area again, that it will again become resistance, and I would look for a strong rejection. Now, do I have enough conviction to short this area up here? I do not. I mean, I will just be completely honest with you guys. I don't. This is why I say until we do take out a decisive break below 7550, or excuse me, below 7500 or above 8200 until we get a decisive break. Again, by decisive, I'm defining that on the lower time frame, so a 4-hour candle opening and closing above or below. Not until that happens will I change my position to becoming more bullish or more bearish. I am agnostic right now. We're trading between support, major support, and what should be major resistance on the test. We'll have to wait and confirm that if and when we do get that test. But that is what I am going to be looking for, is a rejection off this zone. Again, do I have enough conviction to short this area? No, I don't. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I do not. I will not be shorting this area right now, even though I'm leaning towards a rejection right here. I'm not going to short it because right now it's just Bitcoin is just showing all kinds of uncertainty and a lot of signs of manipulation, guys. So typically, if everybody thinks it's going to do one thing, it'll often do the opposite, because market makers will often drive price in the other direction. And speaking of market makers, let's go check longs and shorts very quickly. Let me go back to the 4-hour. Shorts continue to basically just kind of moving sideways here for the last, really the last 24 hours. A little bit more of a drop here, but nothing too significant. Longs are still outpacing shorts, but again, that's not because longs are stacking. That's just because longs dropped off and again are basically flat, which tells you what? Which tells you that any retail that is in this market is also very, very uncertain of which way price is going. Anybody in this market is very uncertain and not willing to put their money anywhere until we get more of a decisive move. Pulling back to the 4-hour here, 4-hour, looking at our moving averages, exponential moving averages, guys, we can see we're sitting at the top of the Bollinger Bands here, finding some resistance there. We are now on top of the 21-period exponential on the 4-hour chart, guys. Again, that is somewhat bullish, but we're again getting rejected at the top of the Bollinger Band there. Did find support on the 200-period moving average on the 4-hour chart. I don't put a lot of emphasis on the 4-hour chart, other than I do want to point this out. Whoop. Sorry, guys, didn't mean I went a little bit early. I do want to point out the fact that we are starting to once again get that 55 exponential, 21 exponential, and 8 exponential on the 4-hour starting to converge, and we're getting that in conjunction with the Bollinger Band starting to bottleneck here. Typically, when you see that, you can expect a larger move. It doesn't tell you if it's going up or going down, but it tells you that assuming this continues, assuming they continue to bottleneck, assuming the exponential, the 8, 55, and 21 continue to converge on each other, that tells you a larger move is likely coming. All right, let's go ahead and check the daily. Daily, we're still struggling to get back above the 21-day EMA there. That is a very, very important EMA in my opinion, guys. Finding resistance right at the 8-day EMA. That is relevant in my opinion, because the 8-day EMA was acting as support for so long and is now acting as resistance. Same with the 21 here. So we'll have to wait and see kind of if we can get above the 21. If we get a daily candle closing above the 21 exponential, that's going to get my attention. If we get a daily candle tomorrow, both opening and closing above the 21 exponential, at that point I do think we're going to take another run at 8,500. So we'll have to wait and see. But right now, again, I'm fairly agnostic and the charts are showing me the same. All right, let's pull out to the weekly, see if there's anything significant. Nothing too, again, just looking for just was suggesting a larger breakdown here, a little bit of weakness. But I will say that, the fact that we have not broken down below this 8-week EMA as of yet, that it does suggest that the bulls are not going, without a fight. And if this weekly candle can close back above 8,200, again, that would be a very, very bullish sign. We'll have to wait and see if that's what it does, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on that very closely. Again, a break below the 21-week EMA would again get my attention fairly well, but we can see that the 8-week EMA is sitting right around 52.50. So I can certainly see us coming down to that 52 to 50, or excuse me, not 52, 72.50. So I can certainly see us coming down here, hitting that 7,200 and maybe wicking down even to 71, maybe even 7,000, and then continuing to the upside. We can see that 7,000, looking at the weekly, was where this weekly chart split and where was resistance found support on the week of May the 13th and then continued up here. So that's a very relevant zone, guys. I'm going to be watching both of those. But yeah, if we do break below that 8-day or that 8-week EMA, it'll certainly get my attention. Checking daily volume's pretty much in line with what we saw yesterday, guys, sitting at about 20.2 billion. Yesterday we were at 19.4. A little bit of an uptick for now. We'll wait and see how it closes, but overall, does suggesting volume has pulled back a little bit, guys, suggesting that people are kind of in a watch and wait mode. Wait and see how this or how this thing ends up breaking. Again, watching support, watching resistance, waiting to see which one breaks, and no one's really willing to put their money anywhere until they get a decisive move. And somebody asked me yesterday. It was kind of a funny question. They said because of my video yesterday, I told you guys ahead of time. It looked like we were going to break down to 7,500, but I was not going to play the bounce if we did get the bounce, guys, because I didn't have the confidence to do that. And of course, I'm a more conservative trader, as you guys know. So I'll take the what looks like an almost sure thing. Nothing is a sure thing, of course, but I'll take that. And if I'm uncertain at all, I have no problem just sitting that out, guys. And that's worked. That strategy has worked very well for me. But so I did not take the trade. And somebody asked, well, hey, aren't you aren't you kicking yourself for not taking that trade? And well, I guess if you're asking me if I could do it all over again, would I, with the benefit of hindsight? Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to take that trade, love to take that bounce. If I had a crystal ball, I'd have 100% success rate, which nobody has. But hindsight is always 20/20. Remember that. So no, assuming that I did not have a crystal ball and I saw the exact same setup as I did yesterday, would I take the trade? No, I wouldn't. All you can do is go on basically, all you can do is look at what the chart is telling you guys, look at probability, and then assess your own risk. Assess the risk that you're willing to take, and then take a trade or don't take a trade. It's never financial advice. I always tell you guys, obviously, you make your own decisions. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. So for me, the risk wasn't there. The risk to reward in my mind, wasn't not risk to reward in a dollar sense, because yes, that was there, but just the probability, guys, pushing my luck. The first time I was all over this, you guys know this. The second time I just wasn't willing to do it, guys. I'm not. I'm a more conservative trader, so take that for what it's worth. So yes, obviously, if I had the benefit of hindsight, yes, I would take a successful trade. But without the benefit of hindsight, guys, it's everybody's got to make their own call. Everybody's got to do their own thing. So anyway, just wanted to address that very, very quickly. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap Bitcoin there. Let's quickly run through some altcoins, starting off with EOS, with EOS or EOS, depending on which side of the aisle you're on. I think, hasn't it been officially confirmed that we are now EOS, I think? Anyway, I can't keep up with it all. Looking at the chart, guys, EOS has been EOS. I'll just call it EOS for now. Has been very impressive in my opinion, guys. Let me pull out for the weekly, because I pointed this out last time. Last time we spoke, it was sitting, I think, around 64 or $6.45, somewhere around. It was right around where it is now. And I told you that it looked like it was going to come back down and test this area between 590 and 610. That is a major area of support, guys. Pulling out on the weekly, guys, you can just see it. This was the area that was massive resistance back in September, October of 2018, became resistance again in April, and then finally smashed through it in May. And then we came back around, and what was resistance acted as support. Then it took off, of course, to our high of about 860 before coming back down here. This support has turned out to be fairly impressive so far, guys. I do have to say. Now, I do think this is following Bitcoin quite closely. In fact, I would call this $6 support with EOS basically the same as the $7,500 support with Bitcoin. In other words, I do think if Bitcoin breaks below 70, decisively breaks below 7,500, guys, please always understand my terms. When I'm talking about breaking a support or resistance, I'm talking about a decisive break. In other words, either a 4-hour candle opening and closing if we're looking at the smaller time frames, or the larger time frames, we're talking about a daily candle opening and closing. So yes, that's typically what I'm looking at when we're talking about support and resistance. A decisive break, not wicking below, because we wick up above and below resistance all the time. We're talking about a decisive break. That's what you need to make your decisions on. So as of now, we've come back down, tested this support 1-2 times here. Did create a lower low the last time here, coming all the way down to about 593. Which I got an order filled there actually, which turned out to work out fairly well. But we are now coming up, and if I zoom in here, we are now coming up against the 21 exponential on the 4-hour chart, which is now acting as a fairly decent resistance. And of course, we can see that that is also in confluence with where we found support here, and then support turned into resistance. Support on the 4th, June the 4th, resistance became resistance on June the 5th. So this is a critical zone. If we can get up above this zone and start trading above about 675, if we can start trading above 670, 675-ish, in other words, if we can get a 4-hour candle opening and closing above 675, then I get a little more bullish, and then I think we're going to take another shot at coming into this $7 to $7.20 zone. This zone right here, guys, I think there's a real chance that we get into that zone. Coming in here to the daily, you know, that's going to be, that also has perfect confluence. That I actually, this was not planned. That has perfect confluence with the 21-day EMA. So yeah, that is a very, very relevant zone. If we can start trading above, if we can get a 4-hour candle opening and closing above 675, I do become short-term bullish on EOS. We'll have to wait and see. Now, I do think it's going to come back down with Bitcoin. I do think Bitcoin is going to come back down eventually, even if we have some temporary upside. I think Bitcoin is going to come down and test 7,200, and I do think EOS is going to come back down and likely at least wick below this area of support right here. Now, do we have a decisive break below? I wouldn't say, but I don't think so. But I do think it's likely that we wick below this 590 to 610 support, and I do think that we come down as low as possibly 530-ish. If and when Bitcoin does break below that 575, it comes down and tests that $7,000 to $7,200 area. I do believe that EOS comes down to about 530 to 545 at the same time. But until that happens, until Bitcoin does break 570 or does break $7,500. Did I say 575 again, guys? I sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, Bitcoin likely coming down and testing 7,200. If and when that happens, I think EOS likely comes down and tests approximately $5.35 to 530-ish. Even though it could be a very quick wick and then a strong bounce off of that zone, I do think that's a real possibility. I've got buy orders sitting down here at about 530. Really about 531 to be very precise. So I'm looking for a decent bounce off that zone. Same with Bitcoin. I've got buy orders sitting laddered between 7,000 and 7,200, expecting a nice little bounce off that zone. Even if it doesn't hold, I would expect a scalpable, a tradable bounce off of that zone at the very, very least. But again, just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm looking at with EOS, guys, until Bitcoin does break 7,500, this base, this 590 to 610 base is holding strong, and if we do get above trading above 675, I think we take another run at this $7 to $7.25 area of what should be, or was acting as support, what should act as resistance on the way back up. All right, let's wrap EOS there. Quickly looking at Binance Coin, BNB. Wow, actually BNB looks pretty strong. Yeah, it's back above the 21-day EMA. It did not have a decisive break below the 21-day EMA. We not wicked below it, but we did close below it here on June the 4th, came back right back above it on June the 5th. We did not have a daily candle opening and closing below the 21-day EMA, which would be the definition of breaking that area, that exponential. So yeah, that is bullish as of now. It does look to me like it's operating within a descending broadening wedge, which typically does break to the upside here. But let's be honest, even though I do think BNB is one of the more solid coins out there, guys, certainly a good long-term hold in my opinion. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but it is one of the stronger coins in my opinion, guys. And right now it is looking like it's got some strength. We are finding some resistance right there at about that 3140, 3150 area. I do think if we can take that out decisively, if we can, and let me go into the 4-hour here, guys, so I'm clear of what, because now we're talking smaller time frames. So yeah, if we looking at this, guys, looking at about a 31, actually it's going to be a little bit higher than that. It's going to be about 3180. If we take out 3180 on the 4-hour, or if we get a 4-hour candle opening and closing above 3180, I do think it takes another shot or rises up here about another $1.30 to about 33.50 33.15, and this will be a real test at 33.15, guys. That'll also bring it to the top of what looks like to me, again, a descending broadening wedge. So this descending resistance line here, that'll come in nicely with what also looks like resistance right around that 33.30 area. If that does get taken out, I do think that we take a very quick shot at the high of about, what is the high? 35.53 looks like the high, at least on Binance here on the tether pairing. Looks like about 33.53, guys. And I do think if at that point it does take another shot at that, it very likely takes that out and sets a new high. If we come over here and go, we are seeing a lot of structure with Binance Coin. If we just go swing low, swing high, we can see, yeah, it hit perfectly right off the 382. If we just look at this overall structure here, right off the 382 fib, finding resistance again at about the 236. Which again tells me that's a very, very relevant zone. Let's go back here to the daily just because I'm curious about something. If we just take this all into account and we go swing high, swing low, and kind of flip it, yeah, we're right at the 382 actually, and the other, yeah, right at the 382. And look at that, guys. We can see right around that 33.30 area. That's right in the side of that golden pocket. That's a very relevant zone. Just looking at this, so yeah, that's right inside the golden pocket between the 618 and the 6.5 fib level, also known as the golden pocket, guys. So yeah, if we can take that out, I do think that we have a good shot at setting a new all-time high for Binance Coin if we can take out that 33.30-ish. And again, if we can get above that really 31.30, I do think we take a shot at 33.30. So those are the areas to watch. 33.30, look for a decisive, or 31.30, look for a decisive break above that, but decisive meaning a 4-hour candle opening and closing. Then I think we come up to 33.30, where you're going to again look for another decisive break, 4-hour candle opening and closing. That'll take it above that descending resistance line of this wedge, and at that point, if that happens, I think we come up and create a new high. Although I'd be skeptical of where I get in. I'd probably get in, if you're going to scalp this, I'd get in and I'd get right back out at about 35.30, and then, or at the very least, increase your stop loss and then just let it run at that point. I wouldn't get caught in this trade, guys, because again, if Bitcoin does come back down, Binance Coin is going to come right back down with it. All right, quickly looking at Litecoin. Wow, actually, Litecoin is very impressive. Litecoin is, we're back above that 110, and that 110. If you guys saw my my prior analysis on Litecoin before we broke 110, I told you that was a critical zone, guys. That was that 110 acted as support all throughout 2018, and coming back up here, guys, we can see we've just kind of been snaking around it here. Did come back down and retested, as we discussed last time, this area right at about $100. Really, it was about 101, but that was a very critical zone as well. That was the area that was resistance here, again resistance again here, and then started acting as supports. Come back down again, even though we wicked below it here. It was a very quick wick. The support basically did hold, and we are in it. You can also see, again, just showing the structure in this market, especially with Litecoin. It's sitting right on top, again, the 21-day EMA, showing you why that is such a very, very relevant exponential, guys. And didn't break below it, wicked below it, but did not decisively break below it. And of course, now we're off to the races, and we are hitting a very critical zone with Litecoin, in my opinion, guys. This area right here that we're currently stuck up against, right between about 115 and 117. That's a critical zone, guys. If we can get even a 4-hour candle, let me switch to the 4-hour. If we can get even a 4-hour candle opening and closing above this zone, I do think that we take another shot of it at least 121, and that's going to be a critical zone to watch. If we can get above 121 and start consolidating in this zone, anywhere between 121 and 125, we can just start consolidating into that zone. That's extremely, extremely bullish sign for Litecoin at that time. If we can get and now I'm going to talk about the higher time frame. So if we can get a daily candle both opening and closing above 121, I do think there's a very good chance that we take a shot, that we clear this zone at about, again, between about 121 and 125. I think there's a very good chance that we clear this zone and we come back up and test about 140. Now, if Bitcoin does dump, Litecoin will dump as well. But I have to say, if I'm just looking at this chart independently, this chart does, if we can get above its current area, which again, a decisive break above about 117. If we can get a 4-hour candle opening and closing above 117, this chart looks bullish. This chart does look bullish to me. Now again, Bitcoin could ruin that. But it does bode well with a lot of these altcoins, guys, showing that it seems like they're trying to decouple. They aren't able to. but the signs are there, and I do think it's just a matter of time before some of these stronger altcoins do decouple from Bitcoin. Again, we're not there yet. Do not misunderstand me. If Bitcoin crashes, Litecoin is very, very likely going to crash along with it. So please don't misunderstand me, guys. But overall, the chart does look bullish. Now, to the downside, if we do break below a decisive break below 110 this time, guys. By decisive, this time I'm talking about the larger time frame, the daily. If we get a daily candle opening and closing below 110, I do think we're quickly going to come back down to this $100 range, guys, and that'll be a major test. If $100 does break, if we get a decisive break below 100, I do think it's a quick drop down to about 91 at least. So again, we'll have to watch and wait and see, but it is a very, very bullish sign. So honestly, rather than even watching those price points, I'd watch this 21 exponential on the daily. If we get a daily candle opening and closing below the 21 exponential, guys, we're coming back down to about 91-ish, 90 to 91, I think will be a very logical target, and that would come in nicely. I would have a lot of confluence, with our ascending support line here that I've been pointing out for that's been in place for quite some time, both back in the end of 2018. All right, I'm going to quit Litecoin there. Quickly checking Ethereum. Ethereum is basically snaking around the 21-day EMA here. This support between 220 and 230 has held very well. It's actually been a very, very impressive support as of now. Let's see. Looks to me like right now it's sitting right at a fairly decent area of resistance right here. It sits at about two, let's call it 250, 249 really, but let's call it about 250. So yeah, I need to see let me get to the 4 hour here. Yeah, 4 hour actually makes a lot more sense. So yeah, I need to see, and it's also sitting finding resistance right on top of that 21 exponential on the 4 hour chart. So yeah, I need to see a 4 hour open and close above 250. If we do get a 4 hour opening and closing above 250, I do think we take another shot at this area right here, which is at about 270 to 270, really 272-ish. I do think that, yeah, there's a good chance that we take another shot at that. As of now, sitting right at resistance, I wouldn't be surprised to see it bounce back and forth between about 232 and 249-ish. If we do break below, if we get a decisive break below, by decisive I'm talking the smaller time frames now, so a 4 hour candle opening and closing below about 230, I do think at that point we're quickly going to come down to about 120, and I'm not even sure that 120 holds. Again, we'll have to wait and see. I would be very agnostic until we do break below 120. If we do break below 120, just a 4 hour candle opening and closing below 120, as I've told you guys from my last few updates, at that point I think it's a very quick drop to about 185. And 185 is a must buy. Again, not financial advice, just my opinion. This is what I'll be doing. If we do ever see 185, that is, in my opinion, that is going to be a must buy. An Ethereum at 185 is a must buy, in my opinion, guys. That's where I'll be going in a little bit heavier. Until then, I remain agnostic until we do clear either this support between 120 and 130, or we break above resistance at about 2 decisively. Again, I'm always talking about decisively. A decisive break above resistance at about 270 to about 275-ish. All right, we'll wrap Ethereum there. Quickly looking at XRP. Actually, I mean, so crazy, man. XRP actually does look fairly bullish as well, and it does look like it's starting to consolidate in a bit of a larger wedge pattern right here. So overall, yeah, it does look like we're starting to consolidate. It does look like price is starting to get squeezed. We are above the 21-day exponential moving average, which again is a bullish sign. We are finding resistance right at the top of this zone here, which we can see was resistance in the past, became support, even though it's been a sloppy. I mean, this is just a sloppy chart, guys. It is. It's yeah, but again, still, nonetheless, this is a very, very relevant zone. I apologize, by the way, if you guys hear what sounds like a lawnmower in the background. My yard guy is mowing the lawn, so it is a lawnmower. But I apologize if you guys hear that. So anyway, if we do get a decisive break above this zone, guys, I'm looking at the higher time frames now. So if we get a daily candle, both opening and closing above about 42.5. Well, I don't even want to say that because yeah, we're going to come up here, but it does look like we are consolidating here, so I can certainly see a scenario where we break up here, quickly hit the top of this, back down, and then either we break up or we just break down from its from this point right here. So I I'm hesitant to give you any kind of advice on Ripple at this point. Very agnostic on Ripple. Two areas I'm watching. This area right here at about 44.7, 45. If we get a daily candle opening and closing above that, I do think we come up here and test these prior highs. I do think we come up and test at least 47, but very, very likely well, I don't want to say likely. At least we test about 47 to 47.2, in my opinion. To the downside, guys, we could get rejected right where we are, come back down. I'll be watching this 21 exponential, but more importantly than that, I'll be watching this ascending support line here. Which really is lining up almost perfectly with about 39. So that's really not much of a trade at all. Yeah, I would stay out of XRP at the moment, guys. In my opinion, guys, not financial advice, never financial advice, but just personally, I wouldn't touch XRP, guys. Again, I remain fairly agnostic. I hate to keep repeating myself, and I know that's frustrating to hear from an analyst, guys. But until Bitcoin decisively makes its move, all these coins are basically consolidating between resistance and support. And even though it does look like a likely breakout for all of this is very likely in the next few days to maybe anywhere between 2 to 5 days from now, it's just it's more of a shot in the dark unless you're scalping. And if you're scalping, guys, very quick in and out. Yeah, could I see us bouncing off this zone, coming back down, hitting about 40, and then coming back 40 cents, and then coming right back up and testing against 42 to about 40. 42.5 to about 43.2. Yeah, absolutely. Would I play that? No, I'm not going to play that at all. There's a time to just just sit back, grab your popcorn, and to watch the show. And then there's a time to be aggressive. I don't think this is the time to be aggressive, in my opinion, guys. I think this is the time to kind of sit back and just enjoy the show. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, we appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Till next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Workin.